In episode 1 of Teacup, you get introduced to the Chenowith family. They live on a farm in rural America, and the matriarch, Maggie, is an animal vet. You've also got her husband, James, although they're going through something at the moment. James cheated on Maggie, and it hasn't been the same since. To make things even more complicated, they have 2 children. Arlo, who's probably about 9 or 10, and then his older sister, Meryl, who's a teenager. Currently, they also have James's mother, Ellen, living with them. She's got multiple sclerosis, and because of that, she blazes up. She's the cool, hip grandmom. It's on a random, typical day where things start getting weird. It starts out with a high-frequency pitch coming from the radio that Ellen is listening to. It's piercing to the ears. But it seems to go away as quickly as it arrived, and she just brushes it off. There's also the animals on the property. They've been acting weird recently. In particular, the horses in the stables and the goats. They've been running off. And when Arlo sees one goat run off in the woods, he decides to chase after him. The deeper that Arlo goes into the woods, though, the more concerned he gets because there's no sign of that goat. And Arlo is not alone, although he doesn't know that at the moment. Arlo is gone for hours until anyone notices. It's actually dinner time when Maggie starts to look around and realizes that her little boy is gone. And at first, no one seems concerned because this is kind of Arlo's behavior. He likes to play hide and seek and play pranks, and they live in a pretty safe area, so everyone just figures he'll turn up. They also get distracted from the Arlo situation when the Shanley family shows up late at night with a problem. Their horse is injured. He's been acting erratic, and they need medical attention for him immediately. And that's where Maggie comes into play because she's a vet. The Shanley family are no strangers to the Chenowiths. Nicholas Shanley, the boy, definitely has a crush on Meryl. They go to school together. Reuben Shanley is the father. And then there's Valeria. She's Reuben's wife, but she is also the woman that James had the affair with. Although that's something that Maggie doesn't know yet. She just knows that the affair happened. But no one's thinking about the affair when the Shanleys show up late at night with their horse who is injured. They just start going into action to fix the problem. Reuben lets Maggie know that their horse did this to himself. And Maggie's planning on taking the horse to her clinic, but in the meantime, she still is concerned about Arlo, who's been missing. James still isn't concerned at this point. He's going to double-check the house. He tells Meryl to double-check the garage. He's certain that Arlo will turn up. The 4 of them then head in the woods to try to find Arlo, but they break up into groups. You've got Nicholas and Meryl, and then James and Valeria. And Nicholas is feeling a lot better because of the fact that he's teamed up with Meryl. He's putting on his best charm. I mean, he's trying to woo her with jokes, none of it working, by the way. And while those 2 don't find Arlo, what they do find is the missing dog and the missing goat. But they also heard something deep in the woods, so they're a little bit concerned. They bring the dog and the goat over to James and Valeria. And when James and Valeria also hear something deep in the woods, they get concerned. So they head back to the property to make sure the animals are okay, but also James wants to grab some weapons, and he grabs a baseball bat. It's at this time that they're joined by 2 more guests. You've got Don and Claire Kelly. And that was the couple whose dog went missing. So Claire is very relieved that Meryl found the dog. But when Don overhears that Arlo is missing and he's in the woods, Don gets concerned because he saw a rabid dog earlier in the day, and he knows that Arlo is no match for a rabid dog. So he goes to his truck and he grabs a gun. And James doesn't want to resort to that. He doesn't want Don running into the woods like he's Rambo, just shooting up the place. Don, though, thinks that James is being pretty cavalier. None of it seems to matter, because that's when Arlo stumbles out of the woods and something has clearly happened to him. Maggie is very concerned and asks Arlo, "Who did this to you?" But the only thing Arlo says is "Buzz Goat, Wasp Find, Men Strange, Murder Maker." Then he starts speaking in Spanish and finishes it off with saying, "Run, run, hide." He repeats this over and over again, and no one knows what the hell it means. What they don't know is that Arlo wasn't alone in those woods. Arlo was with some random mysterious woman who had blood all over her. And at some point, Arlo was knocked out, and when he woke up in the middle of the woods, the woman was standing over him. She was basically on top of him, and she did something to him, something paranormal, because the color in Arlo's eyes changed. but she let Arlo go back home. And then she found a tree to just sit down because she was spent. I mean, this woman looked like she had been through the ringer, but she was also really concerned. So whatever she did to Arlo, it was like something took over her body. Because after Arlo leaves, she just starts asking for help. But she doesn't get it. She's attacked by that rabid dog. Now, the Chenowiths are unaware of any of that, and you've got Arlo who's not answering any questions. And because of all this, they don't even notice that they're joined by another person who drives up on their property, albeit pretty far down the road. But this mystery man, who's wearing a gas mask, just starts spray painting the ground.
Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.